All right, thank you for joining Geek Happenings. Today I've got a special guest, Ellie Ann Soderstrom, author extraordinaire. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. And you can just call me Ellie Ann. That's what I go by on my books.
Yeah, I noticed that on, speaking of your books, your latest one, really enjoyed
Oh,
Slice of Life.
thanks. That was so much fun to write.
It sounded like, and just the sense of humor of all the characters and everything coming out, and just the inside jokes and things. Like I think I tweeted out one of your quotes, like a fart in the shower.
The fart joke, yeah. Has to be one, at least.
Mm-hmm.
When I write, I usually like to take on a big project, like just a full-length novel in a new world, and that takes months of preparation before the first draft, and then I'm just so like devoted heart and soul to this huge project until it's done, months later. And then after that, I just feel just like kind of drained. But I still want my writing time in there every day, but I don't feel like starting another big project. So then I'll just it's kind of just like a free thought exercise, and I'll just write whatever comes to my mind. And that was Slice of Life was one of those little stories that I was just letting it all out. And I hadn't outlined anything, which is crazy. And I hadn't, done profiles on each character. So not all of those little projects stick at all, but that one stuck and it did pretty good. So I was like, that's how that project came about. That's how the book came.
Yeah, it was really interesting that it's an interactive book as well. That's the first time that I've ever seen a book like that, and it really helps to immerse you in the story.
Did you hear any of the audio scenes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just love how you really connect to a character on a deeper level once you hear their voice.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And also the soundtrack really got you in the mood of the story as well, so that was really good. But it definitely takes a village to come up with a book like that. You have to have the writer, and then you have the artist, then you have a composer and voice actors and things like that. So how did you get all that together?
I'm just like lucky to have a lot of talented friends, and then some of them were friends of friends, and they all heard the story and were like, yeah, we want to help tell this story. And so they all told the story in really incredible ways. Like, I love Lancelot Chabert's poem in there. I think it was awesome, and a change of pace for the climax. So and then just connecting to the characters in the audio scenes, and then just the stirring music. I like that part of art, how they can just all mesh together. They all have to kind of blend and feed off of each other. I like that a lot.
You also did comics that way too, didn't you? You did some interactive comics.
Yes, Tale of Frida by MotionWorks Entertainment. I got a contract to write books 2 through 6, and I'm not sure when 2 through 6 are going to take off. The first one is already published, but the company ran into some trouble or something. But I've already been paid. So there's no loss for me, but it's a great story, and I really hope it gets made sometime.
Mm-hmm. The thing that impresses me with you and your writing is you go through so many genres. Like you have the Silver Sickle, which is the steampunk, and then you have a slice of life, a fairy tale, and then you also have the collaboration that you did with Aaron Patterson, The Breaking Seal, which is like a law thriller type book.
Yeah, and that was the hardest book to write because I couldn't make stuff up. that one. Like they had to follow like the rules of physics and stuff. That that was an amazing opportunity at the beginning of my career to get a contract with Aaron Patterson. But it's definitely not the stories in my heart are contemporary thrillers. I'm really happy to be in fantasy sci-fi genre.
Yeah, those are definitely my milieu too. My favorite books that I like to read.
Isn't it fun when anything can happen?
That's how I felt with A Slice of Life, going back to that again. It just like it had all these different like genres and like different fairy tales all kind of coming into the one, and you have like all these different types of creatures and everything as well that you kind of made up or whatever. And it was neat, and I could see like your imagination like working as I was reading it.
Oh, great. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I sat down every day and thought, there are no rules for this story. I can do whatever I want. And so I had written in some characters that I didn't have the rights to. Like I had added some Harry Potter stuff in there on the first draft and Lord of the Rings. And I was like, oh, I got to take that out later.
Yeah, that was gotta be tough going that way. We can put in there or not.
But now there are so many amazing stories in the public domain. I'm always tempted to just like, rewrite a adventure tale with Jane Eyre and Mowgli and Robinson Crusoe and Sherlock Holmes, like all these public domain characters, mash them all together. I think that'd be so fun.
You gotta get into some fan fiction.
Absolutely. What would happen if Jane Eyre and Mowgli hooked up?
They would eat that up. So you've got quite a diverse background of where you came from. You're in the jungles of Thailand, farming village in Iowa, and then Texan desert, and now you're in the Ozarks. Does that affect your writing quite a bit?
Well, Thailand probably least of all. Like I was there when I was like super little, so I was born there, and then we moved back to Iowa. But Thailand has always, like Thai friends have always been a part of our lives, and then my mom and dad go back to Thailand all the time, and they know the language, and then they're world travelers, so that really affects the way that I think. Like I've never really held, I don't know, I guess since I was born as a minority in Thailand, then I've always felt like I was a minority. And then in a small town in Grinnell, I was homeschooled. I was super nerdy and geeky. And so I've always, like felt on the fringe. And then we were also very conservative Christians. So we didn't like watch TV or movies or any of that. It was just all like classic literature and stuff. So I was never like in. And so now, when I write stories, I always tend to write those fringe characters because that's who I feel like, yes, I like those stories. That's the stories that I want to write. And then, perhaps tell a story from a perspective that many people haven't thought of yet. So
interesting. So I tweeted out the link there for folks to watch us live. So
great.
If you look at your Twitter. So I've seen you been on the con circuit quite a bit.
Yes, I love cons. Yeah, that's where I'm like not on the fringe.
Your people.
Yeah. Do you go to cons?
Oh yeah, I was just at the Motor City Comic Con that came here. It was huge.
Cool. Yeah. Mhm. What did you geek out about there? What was
Oh, geez, there was I got to meet Stephen Yeun from The Walking Dead,
Yeah, cool.
and Joe Eisma, the artist from Morning Glories. We'll get into comics a little later.
Hmm.
And Todd Knock, another artist. I got a print from him, and just seeing all the cosplayers and things like that.
Hmm. There's always something to look at a con.
Yeah, and I had a press pass this year, so that was really cool.
Oh, congrats. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I got a really Joe Eisma was really great. I got to sit down and interview with him for about 20 minutes, so
Oh,
that
cool.
was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
So I'm sure that's got to be good for you, being able to meet your fans and things like that.
Yes, it is. My favorite part of the con is whenever I get to talk to a young girl or boy who is just started writing, and I just get to, like, listen to what they're doing, listen to their story, and then just basically just get to, like, gush over what they're doing, because like, writing can be lonely, and it's not very often when you can sit down and someone will say, I know what you mean, I know what that feels like, or ask about your work. And so it's always my favorite part whenever I find a just a minute, buddy. It's always my favorite part when I get to talk to a young person about writing.
Yeah, I know you've gone to some book readings at libraries and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So that's another good way to meet fans. Have you seen any cosplayers of any of your characters yet, or not?
What?
Any cosplayers yet?
Nope.
Characters?
Nope, not yet.
That's when you know you made it, if they're cosplaying your characters. You're the big time.
Yep. Either that or you've made a really unique character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine would have to be like Persian, more with like a traditional sari outfit.
Yeah, especially from the Silver Sickle, definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of comics, I know you're into comics. So, what are you reading currently?
Right. I just picked up this amazing comic called Four Eyes from the library. And it's about this young boy in an alternate history of like the 30s during the Depression, where there are dragons. And he becomes like this dragon trainer. And it's so good. It's so good. So it really is, I mean, it really is it's like a coming of age story for this little boy, and it's so well done, and the art's amazing. So if you get the chance to check out Four Eyes, I just like grabbed it from the library and I'm totally hooked.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I love that libraries are carrying graphic novels and comics now. Like when I was growing up, we never had that. I sound like an old person, but
Yeah, I know.
Really taking them seriously.
Ours never did either. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, anything else on your radar that you're reading?
I'm totally fangirling over Mercedes Yardley, who's a new writer, or she was new to me. I've just started reading her like over the past 6 or 8 months, and she's a horror author of like young adult paranormal, and she's so good. So her prose is really deep and engaging, and her voice is perfect. Everything that I've picked up of hers, I've loved. So that's in the young adult horror genre, which I usually don't go for because I scare easily. Like really easily. Like when people ask me what is like the scariest movie I've seen, I'll like name a scary movie and they'll be like, that's not even a scary movie. I'm like, yes, it is. It's terrifying. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I saw your review of the Avengers movie
Yeah,
that came out over the summer.
that was good.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Like the action was so fun to watch, and then I think they nailed the team. Whedon always nails the team aspect. So once again, he nailed it.
Yeah, it's always, especially after seeing like Spider-Man 3, where they had with Tobey Maguire, they had like all these different aspects, and none of them kind of worked. Joss Whedon has definitely been an expert with that, with the two Avengers movies.
Yeah, he can. I think J.J. Abrams is good at it too. He can introduce a character, and you feel like you know them, within just a few minutes. That's amazing. Yeah. But I saw a really good movie over the weekend called Ex Machina. Have you heard of it? Yeah.
Is it off of a comic or a book?
I don't know. I think it's an original screenplay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I loved it. I was like so into it, and I was like shouting out like, "What's gonna happen?" We're like, "Oh, that's this," and then the tension is just really cool, and the it's set up totally like a horror movie. So, like this young programmer is dropped off in the middle of nowhere with this billionaire, like, and you're like, oh, this is going to end really bad for him, and so but it's great, and it has one of my favorite actresses in it too. She's from A Royal Affair, just one of my favorite movies. So I geeked out over that movie, and I love I love anything robots. Like, I just think they have so many great themes about like, what makes a human, and when does science go too far, and then why don't we ever create things that like just don't destroy the world, instead of creating things. Yeah.
According to the Terminator, we are. It's going to be coming on anytime now.
Yeah.
Robots are going to be taking over.
But if robots were like Baymax from Big Hero 6, then we would all be happy. I mean,
that movie.
Yeah, let's make those robots. Okay. It's really cuddly healthcare professional robots.
Let's make actually fly too.
Yeah. So I like robot movies. Like them all.
Yeah, you can tell with so what kind of got you into writing, or what did you start reading when you were young?
Yeah, I've always been a voracious reader. So it's how I relax. It's how I like deal with subjects. It's how I learn about myself. Like reading was just everything to me. And then I had never once considered writing at all. Like I did a few basically like fan fiction when I was in high school. Whenever a story that I was reading didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, then I would write my own version, which is why I am a huge supporter of fan fiction, because like if you're an artist, they teach you to copy the masters in order to learn how to draw, so why can't writers do that too? It's like you just have to copy those stories as you're learning how to write. I think it's just a great way for beginner authors to start is by writing fan fiction. And of course, the only way it can be done wrong is if you try to sell it. But who would do that?
I've actually seen it. I think there's some authors that don't particularly like it.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of private with their material and things like that, and don't want anybody else using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a fun thing, especially if something ends or something like that, and people want to continue on with it, like Firefly or or something like that that you particularly love, it's nice to see people kind of carrying up the torch and going on with the story.
Mm-hmm. I mean, unless they're trying to, like, you know, take credit for your work or
Yeah.
trying to sell it, like, how could you say, like, how could you be the one to say, like, you can't do that, you know, you can't. It just seems like, I don't know, it seems like kind of just too possessive, because you've already given out to the world.
Right. Yeah, I think it was, I can't remember, I think somebody had put out a book, and I think they like, somebody like went through and takes out all the swear words. And
Oh,
yeah. Kids.
Yeah.
Nuts over that.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember what book it is, but it was
remember.
like really...
No, it's like this huge site that did it to, you know, hundreds of books. And Chuck Wendig, like, you know, wrote a bunch about that. And I don't think he was a fan.
No. I think that people paid for it. So I don't think they
were... that's so wrong.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like, I didn't put my art out like that for people to read it like that. I put it out like this and things like that.
Yeah. And like, I mean, if some person wants to like go out and, you know, cross out all those naughty words, then, you know, they can do it with their own hand. But to sell it is just, you know, that's wrong.
Especially with the writers, it's such a struggle to make money. I mean, it's not, it takes a long time to actually make money at this. So
yeah,
definitely discourage a lot of writers to not write if they're not, people are like stealing their work and other people are making money off it or getting it for free. They're trying to sell it. And
taking out all the fun scenes. Like the insult to the injury. No, but I mean, like, I must admit, it was kind of a good feeling when I found my work on a pirated website. Like my I was like, okay, that means my work means something. People are trying to make money off of my books.
Were you looking for see how many people are downloading it, how many torrents are going?
I didn't find out how many were going, but someone, you know, emailed me like, oh, they're stealing your books, they're selling it. And then actually, I don't even think they were selling it. I think it was just like, download the book. And then I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be tough to be able to fight against that too. I mean, once you take one down, there's like a million more that come up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's not, I don't know, it is so rare when I find a reader that pirates books the way that like the music industry and even the film industry is pirated. Like that's like generally not readers. Like that's just not who they are. So
yeah,
I'm not.
We're a better class of people.
Yeah, like the poor musicians though. That's what I feel really bad for. Everyone's like sharing music. Yeah.
But I think most of them make their kind of money on touring and stuff like that now anyways. And I don't think, I think a lot of them made a lot of bad deals and stuff along the way too. So.
Oh, and perfume deals. That's where they make a lot of money, I hear.
So it's going to be next for you?
Oh, yeah.
Perfume. Smells of robot and oil.
That's definitely next. But we were talking about comics, and I'm writing comics right now. So that's super fun. I'm like in talks with 2 different comic publishing companies, and one of them has rejected like a ton of my series, like a ton. They just like keep on rejecting it, and then they're like, okay, send me the next one. I'm like, what? You want, so, and then the editors are like, we really want to work with you, but none of these series, you know, are ones that we want to buy. So send us another series. And then I send them another, and then it gets rejected. They're like, okay, next one. And so I'm like really glad that we have a good relationship and they want to keep on working with me. And I'm like, all right, one of these is gonna stick. So I'm coming up with these series, and hopefully one of them will stick soon. So keep your fingers crossed for me that I'll come up with something that, you know, will fall in with their line, will fall in with what their dreams are for the company, and that the editor will like it.
Are these going to be like remakes of fairy tales and things like that, or is this like original material that you're going to be doing?
This is original material.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. I really want I really want to work in comics. So among
It
others.
seems to be a good time to be a female to get into comics. I mean, some of my favorite writers of the mainstream books are female, like Miss Marvel with G. Willow Wilson. I really like the stuff that she's doing.
Miss Marvel, yeah. And then Captain Marvel with the comic. Yeah.
Kelly Sue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her and Matt Fraction are like the comic power couple.
I know. Mm-hmm.
They're just so talented.
Yeah.
And you got Gail Simone in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And just a lot of the female characters too are really strong, like Silk and Spider-Woman having their own comics, and the female Thor, Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, like you said, and DC is kind of making some headway. They're still a little behind though, but they will seem to be when it comes to stuff like that. That Marvel is.
I know. It's really exciting to see all the changes that are happening. And there are so many female comic readers that, you know, there's an instant audience for great female characters. Yeah. And then also to have great male characters that are, you know, feminists. That's important too. So not just have, you know, like these great female characters, but then also have the male characters be treating women with equality as well.
That's why I kind of liked going back to the Avengers movie. I think a lot of people had kind of complaints about Black Widow's role in it, but I thought that she was a strong character in Scarlet Witch as well in the movie. And I would definitely go see a Black Widow headed movie that they came out with, one with Scarlett Johansson in it.
I know, like have this like kick-ass spy thriller. I mean, that would be so exciting. And then have her kind of like, you know, develop her out of her own comfort zone, because so far, like all the movies, she's been basically in her comfort zone. And I would love to see one where she's like, you know, you kind of get to see behind the mask. I would love that. It would be so good.
And it's even, Merle dropped the ball with the toys too. Like I went to Target and I saw all these Avengers toys, but it was all the male characters and there wasn't any of the female characters. And I was like, what's going on? You're like taking out half of your customers.
They really did. And there are so few female superheroines already that to take out the like one that we did have was super frustrating. Like, don't you care about money?
Yeah. Even with Guardians of the Galaxy, they didn't release anything with Gamora either.
Yeah.
So I was kind of surprised at that when they do so well with the comics, but yet they do go the other way with the toys.
That's not only bad for women and girls to see that, it's also bad for little boys to see that as well. That like, I mean, because men have to learn how to empathize with women and walk in women's shoes. When men, watch movies with female protagonists or read books with female protagonists or play with a toy that's a girl, like all of that helps you to just realize like, oh, we're all people. Stuff like that is good. So then to take out all the girl toys to be like, yeah, a boy would never pretend that he's a girl. It's just such a harmful perspective to share. And in the same way, like I want my little girls, playing with little boy dolls or little boy characters in the shows. So and then I give, Darius, my son, little dolls and female superhero characters. So then he'll basically just learn to treat everyone with equality and try to walk a mile in everyone's shoes. That's the important part about, media and then representing everyone well.
Yeah, I think they've definitely got the biggest platform to do that.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of lead the way in that.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of met on Twitter. So
yeah,
I met like a ton of. I've met probably 4 or 5 authors on Twitter that I'm reading their books currently. So
isn't that great? Isn't that so fun? I've done that too. I just love that.
So I was going to ask you how you felt about social media and things like that.
Oh, I love it so much, because then I can like be a lazy bum and sit on my butt all day and still talk to my friends. And I can, I've learned so much like through social media. I'll just follow like people way smarter than me and then learn what they're learning and like see what they're going through. And I mean, like I just said, seeing things from other people's point of view, like, finding out that some of my favorite authors like suffer through depression and or have really bad writing weeks. And Marcos Cluse, who is just an amazing author. He like told me that I think he only writes like 2 to 3 hours a day. And I was like, what? Because like he's like this super successful, amazing author dude that just spends like, and I'm sure like he's such a hard worker. So he's like doing other writerly things, but his mind space is just like focused on writing for just like 2 or 3 hours. And I was like, whoa, I get ya. Mm-hmm. So I love social media.
Yeah, I met a ton of like authors and web series folks and musicians and things like that on there. It's great
mm-hmm.
to and to be able to communicate with them and have them communicate with you and to kind of be able to tell people they like their stuff
mm-hmm.
and what you like and things like that. Yeah, I think you probably being a female, I'm sure you probably had some trolls come through, but usually.
Yeah, there are some real sickos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then it was hard. Like the first few times it happened to me, it was like really hard. But then now I've kind of like learned how to handle it in my head. So then it won't like take up any space. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But,
not worth the time.
No.
So are you a Doctor Who fan?
I'm not actually. No, that's one geekhood that I am not immersed in. Or I'm like not into Game of Thrones either. So it's like all my friends are like, Game of Thrones, Doctor Who. And I mean, sometimes you can kind of tell if you like something, just from the outside. And I don't think that they're like really what I'd like. So not into it.
Did you read the Martin's books at all, or not?
No, I don't think I'd like them.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. So I was really into Patrick Rothfuss's books, like Name of the Wind and like
Yeah.
yeah. Those are some recent fantasies that I've adored. And then oh, my mind's blinking. Never mind.
It's funny when anybody gets like really wordy or something explaining something, we always say that they're going into a George Martin. Like George Martin, because he like explains like every piece of meat that they eat and things like that. He actually will put out Game of Thrones cookbooks, by the way, that he explains all the food. He explains it in such detail.
So that's like Tolkien.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a
walking and we're walking?
uh-huh. Let's talk about these stones that we're walking on.
Yes.
Are you a Game of Thrones fan or a Doctor Who fan?
Both.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but when I first watched the series when they redid it with Chris Eccleston as the Doctor, he was the Ninth Doctor. It took me a while because it wasn't I didn't think it would be something that I would get into, but once I got past like the first few episodes, it really grew on me. And then David Tennant came along and Matt Smith, and they were just awesome. So I kind of devoured it after that.
Yeah.
I think it all started when I got my Kindle Fire and just started live streaming it off of Amazon. Streaming all the seasons, so that's why I got into it.
Accessibility is key, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can sit on your butt and watch it on your tablet or whatever.
I know. People are inherently lazy. We don't want to have to go out and get it. Like sometimes Michael and I will be sitting down like, oh, we really, really, really want to watch this movie and it won't be online, and we'll be like, wow, do we really want to go out and actually rent it? It just like seems like such a foreign concept.
Yeah, the on demand, you just go on demand and hit a button and it's there.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah. So what TV shows are you into then? Anything that you're interested in now?
Well, let's see. I really liked the first season of oh crap, girl, she's cloned. Orphan Black, yeah.
Yes.
I really liked the first season of that. So I watched that this winter and enjoyed it hugely. And then I am a huge fan of the 100. So I love everything about it. It's like
the Hunger Games, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Like a bunch of kids, like, and then this, second season changes. Now there are adults that are really everything. But I just love the characters and I have to keep up with them. It's like totally a soap opera adventure, which is so fun to watch. And other than that, I have basically just been writing, and I kind of have to protect myself whenever I'm like really into a new series, because I'll change my voice whenever, like if I'm watching something or reading something. If that voice is strong, then I'll change my voice to copy it because I like it. And so I kind of have to protect my media intake whenever I'm deep into a series. So I haven't been into a show lately.
Yeah, Tatiana Malsani, the lead from Orphan Black, is just awesome, being able to play all those different characters and play them so totally different. She's just great.
She astounds me. Yeah. Which one's your favorite?
Probably Cosima.
Yeah, she rocks. Allison is my favorite. I think she's hilarious. She's so funny. So like she's just like always so pissy, and it makes me laugh so hard because she's such a bitch.
The crazy soccer mom.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the episodes where they kind of have to be each other? So they
Yeah,
have to like be Allison's.
that's funny. It's always funny. So I'm looking forward to season 3 where they take it. Season 2 was like a non-season. It was like really bad. I don't know. They didn't take it anywhere until the last episode. And so now I'm like, oh, now maybe they'll go somewhere.
Yeah, I've got to watch that. I haven't seen the finale yet of season 2.
Okay.
But
Well,
I wasn't real impressed with the male clones. Hopefully we're not spoiling anything for anybody. Watch Orphan Black if you haven't. But yeah, I could definitely tell with kind of losing your voice, because I kind of do that when I start writing or try and start writing. I'm a really big Jim Butcher fan. I think I probably mentioned to you, and I kind of see myself kind of writing in like he would if I start writing something. So I have to kind of think of some way to do it differently than what he would. But I love the first person narrative that he does with Harry and things like that. I think if I would do a book, that's how I would do it.
It's so witty. Like his writing is just so like the pace is fantastic. Yeah.
Just the things that he puts poor Harry through, he just he just destroys them, and then keeps pouring more stuff on him.
So you're gonna torture your characters too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of like that the characters are flawed.
Yeah.
Like Harry is, because he wants to do the right thing, but if sometimes he kind of takes the easy road and at times and kind of gets himself into more trouble and kind of goes on a darker path than you would think he would, but he still tries to be good.
Yeah.
I like that about him.
He's a hero. He's not an anti-hero, but yeah, but he makes mistakes.
Yeah.
My tolerance is getting lower and lower for anti-hero jackass characters. I'm like, oh, I've already seen you already. I'm not sure I can go through like 13 episodes of watching a jackass be a jackass to everybody. So like, because we've had Sherlock Holmes, we've had House, we've had like all these anti-heroes who are just completely horrible people. But I'm like, if you're a real person, I would get you out of my life. So why? I don't know. And that's also part of my personality. Like I'm a very like, oh, let's all have happy endings and do the right thing type of person. So I'm not going to invite like that type of negativity in my life unless the art is really, really, really good, unless it's basically worth it to watch that jackass for 13 episodes.
It's funny that you made the comparison between House and Sherlock, because I totally make the same comparison as well. They're totally alike.
They are.
In different genres.
Yeah.
Although for some reason, I don't know if it's because of the time of life I was in or what, but I think I like House more than I do Sherlock. For some reason.
Well, I think we need those stories, but everyone has to decide for themselves. It's really important to, like decide, like, oh, I'm feeding myself this week, and and then know when to protect yourself from any type of negativity, which of course is in media. So. I get seasonal depression. So during the winter, I was like just having the worst week of depression. And then I was like, oh, wait, I'm watching The Killing, which is about a murdered little kidnapped girl. Maybe I should stop watching this. And like, of course, that wasn't like the cause of my depression and it fixed everything, but every little bit helps. And it helped when I stopped watching it. So then I would whenever I'm depressed, I really have to watch what type of media I read and watch. Mm-hmm.
That's why I like a lot of people like The Flash and the Arrow. I like both the shows, but I think if you had to make me choose, I would definitely choose The Flash over the Arrow. He's just so positive, and his character is just so great, and sees like the positivity and everything, and it's just not a lot lighter than Arrow is.
It is.
It's fun for me to watch.
It's lighter, but I mean, it's not like it's less deep. You know, like I think they're like at the same level. Just one is more positive and than the other. But you know, he still handles big questions, or as big of questions as they ask on the Arrow and on Arrow and the Flash. But he just handles it with more positivity, and he's not jaded. Like Felicity is the life of Arrow, you know.
Mm-hmm. I like especially with the team ups where you get to kind of see them play off each other and things like that.
I love that.
Yeah, and you kind of think that, okay, this character should be on the other show, and this character should be on this show.
Oh, who do you think? Tell me. Who do you want?
I think that Felicity would fit in on Flash.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Should be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just love how Cisco and Caitlin react to meeting the other heroes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're just hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I had a man crush, it would probably be Grant Gustin. I think he's just a great actor, and just has puts so much emotion into the scenes with him and Joe and his dad and things like that. Just really great scenes, and not even action scenes.
Mm-hmm. He's stellar. He's like gold.
Yeah.
And he's also great on social media.
Oh yeah. It bums me out that DC is not following Marvel's lead and going with the characters that they had already established on TV into the movies.
I know. I mean,
perfect.
He is the Flash.
Yeah.
Like, don't even tell me that he's not. Oh man, I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Arrow 2 would be great in the movies, or Steve Amell.
Yeah, he would. Mm-hmm.
But I think it just does more to confuse the audience than sell anything, because they're used to seeing these people on TV, and then they go to the movies and see totally different people, and it seems to create a lot of confusion.
I know, as long as there are no rights issues, I just don't see why they don't do that. Mm-hmm. Quicksilver in X-Men Days of Future Past was the whole movie for me. He was brilliant. And so to see him as a new character, I was like, oh, that's not Quicksilver. Nice try. No matter how awesome he was written, I still didn't see him. I'm like, okay, I'm just pretending this is a completely new character. Yeah. Because he's brilliant in X-Men.
Yeah. I can't remember who the character was that they got to play in the Avengers, play Quicksilver, but it was somebody that I knew, but I didn't recognize him with the way that with his makeup and stuff on. I can't remember what the actor was, but yeah, he wasn't good as Quicksilver.
He was kind of forgettable, where the other Quicksilver was so unforgettable.
Yeah, that scene in the Pentagon was awesome.
It was so good. Yeah. And he was just boss. He was just okay, we're done here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was great. So you have any websites or Twitter feeds that you want to get out?
Yes, I would love everyone to follow me on Twitter and say hi, and I'll follow you back. I'm at Ellie Soderstrom. And then I have a Facebook author page, which I post on and talk on, called Ellie Ann Author. And I also accept friend requests on Facebook. Come find me on Facebook. And then I have a website where you can find my books, get them. Slice of Life is about a princess who has to team up with her unfaithful lover in order to save the world from the evil queen. And The Silver Sickle is about it's set in a Persian steampunk culture, and it's about a girl who's trapped in a harem who has to take down an alien regime, and she has the help of some awesome robot guards. So it's a really fun story. Go check them out.
I can attest to it. I read them both, and they're great.
Thanks. Thanks so much for all the support that you've been. Like, I can't tell you how much it means to me to just like hear your encouraging notes and to hear that you read my books and just all the chats that we've had. It's been awesome.
Social media for the win.
Yes. And many more.
Well, I'm glad we got together and got to go through with this. And
Me too.
It went great. So thank you for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor.